Robin Fitch, documentarian of the untold story of the American dairy farmer, coming soon. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having us.
Awesome. So tell us about your documentary and what inspired you to tell this story.
My inspiration comes from a personal inspiration. We had a dairy farm for 34 years. My husband and son do still dairy there. And so it was the trials and tribulations that we had daily to undertake that really made me want to speak out. And when milk prices dropped really low about 16 years ago to record lows, it brought this to a head for a lot of farmers, and a lot of farmers had to quit and sell out, and they didn't want to. They were forced to. And that's when I actually started speaking with a gentleman from ProAg and started telling our story as well as other stories and getting the word out of what was going on.
Right. Yeah. And what was going on? What are some of the biggest issues that farmers, specifically Massachusetts farmers, are facing right now?
Well, unfortunately, it's all over the country. It's not just your Massachusetts farmers.
Right.
A lot of the challenges are the same because it's weather, which they have no control over.
Of course.
It is the cost that things to run their business are versus their milk prices that they're getting paid. The biggest problem is the pay that they are receiving from their milk companies. They are very underpaid. Right now, milk is about $20 a hundredweight, and it is said that it's going to drop drastically this fall. Prices, obviously, as you know, have gone skyrocketing on everything,
Right.
and that's everything that dairy farmer needs to survive.
Yeah. So what is the link here? What can we do to help support dairy farmers in this way?
Well, there's a couple things you can do. You want to always try to buy local if you can. That helps your smaller dairy farmers versus your big, huge corporate farms. And not that there's anything wrong with your corporate farms. Everybody's needed, but your small ones to keep them in your neighborhood because you want a safe, secure place for your milk. So the closer it is to your area that you have farmers, obviously the security you're going to have for your food safety right there. The other thing you can do is always buy red label because milk is 97% fat free naturally. So buy the red label. Don't buy the 1% fat free. Go whole milk. The other thing is contact your senators and congressmen and tell them, to support the dairy farmers and all farmers. That 100% of the population eats. Farmers are 1% of that population. So we need your support. Government sets the price for the product. And not only do they set the price for the product, but when the farmer sells that product off of their farm, they also pay for the company to haul it away.
That doesn't really make any sense.
It doesn't, does it?
Yeah. People who aren't connected to rural life or have never been to a farm or farmed before, why is this such a pressing issue for all of us?
Unfortunately, the age of the dairy farmers are about between 62 and 67. There are not a lot of young farmers coming on because it is almost impossible unless you own a farm and kind of are grandfathered into it or something like that to start a farm today because of the high costs and the low prices for milk. So unless you have a family that wants to milk and has a generation that wants to continue, you're kind of out of luck right now. And a lot of those kids don't want to continue because they see how hard mom and dad are working. It is a 365-day a year job. You have to be out there taking care of those cows, milking them twice a day.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if you're sick, those cows need to be taken care of. And if you're all you have, you need to go out there and do that. There's no excuse. A lot of these kids are seeing that mom and dad have worked years and years for nothing, and they realize out in the workforce now they can get, weekends off or paid vacations, 401ks, and things like that. And they can't get that on their farm. So the next generation is becoming very, very small.
Yeah. So, with this next generation not being super enthused about going into farming, what is the future of farming? Do we depend more on larger companies? Are we, on high alert all the time? What's next?
Well, unfortunately, if prices drop, like they say, that will force a lot of the small ones out again. So you're going to be left with a lot of factory farms. So that's why it is so important if you have a local farmer that you can support, that a smaller processing plant that is near you, somebody who does their own whole milk, get their products, support them as much as you can. Because like I said, we were talking about a safety issue. Imagine if your farms are in a couple areas of the country and now say an earthquake or something devastating happens and you can't get your milk from one area to the next, or your apples or your, whatever it may be.
Right.
You need food safety, and food safety is keeping it in smaller areas, in smaller communities, so that people can always have that fresh food supply.
Right. And, what do you want viewers to take away from this documentary after they've finished watching it?
Well, I hope they see the importance of the farmer. They're very, I guess, unloved, for a better word. People see them as the person who clogs up their street or makes their town smelly or something like that, instead of looking at them as the person that keeps them alive, because they are the ones that feed them. And I'd also like them to take away that, you need to be aware that your food supply might be in jeopardy if we're not careful and do not support these farmers and start talking to our congressmen and senators as a whole. Because like I said, we are 1% of the population, but we feed 100% of the population. An average tractor, 150 horsepower tractor, is between 150 and $175,000.
Wow.
Now, these guys are getting paid right now, average $20 a hundred rate.
Yeah.
100 wait, so the farmers are getting basically paid the same as they were back in 1970s.
Wow.
Yeah, and the prices are now 2025 prices.
Yeah. I mean, something definitely has to change. Something's got to give.
Yes, so hopefully telling these stories, it will wake somebody up, and we can come together as a unit and make a change, because it's getting scary to know how many farms have gone out and how many our little guys are left.
Robin, where can viewers learn more about the documentary?
We have a link below that will tell you them where to reach out for Facebook, and we also have a YouTube channel that they can check us out on.
Awesome. Well, I'm super excited to get all the updates and see how everything goes. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.